Govinda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jayadvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jayadvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jayadvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jayadvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jayadvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jayadvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Śrī Caitanya Charitamrit ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Om Ajnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Śrī Caitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahim Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvāsa Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome you to today's Sri Caitanya Charitamrita session. Can you connect this? It's not charged. Today is the 10th of June 2026. We are reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 10, the Lord's return to Jagannath Purī. So, in yesterday's verse, in the previous session, we read that if anybody wanted to present their literary work, either a poem or a song or some prose, some story, whatever they have written, what would they write, devotees? They would write something in glorification of the Lord. So anything that they would write in glorification of Krishna or of course, Mahaprabhu would not accept glorification of himself. We saw that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had written something in glorification of the Lord, and the Lord just tore it up. He just tore that paper. But that means he wrote in the glorification of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. He didn't want to hear his own glorification. But people would also, so therefore, they would write something in glorification of Krishna, and they would come and read it out in front of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. But there was a procedure. Before it went to Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, first it had to pass through Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī, because Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī was not only extremely learned, he was the limit of all learning. Parama Pandita, supremely learned personality. And also he is Parama Virakta, supremely detached. So there is no question of, any partiality or anything. And also he is Krishna Rasa Tattva Veta, the knower of the Rasa Tattva, Bhakti Rasa Tattva, Krishna Rasa Tattva Veta. So he can immediately detect if there's any discrepancy. What are the two major discrepancies? One is Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha. So in simple words, how is it explained? Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha means anything which is not explained or which is outside of the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda. Anything which is outside of Achintya Bheda Bheda is called anything which is outside of Bhakti. Really. Bhakti Tattva, Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti philosophy means Achintya Bheda Bheda philosophy. What is Achintya Bheda Bheda philosophy? The Lord and his Shaktis, he has multi-Shaktis, innumerable Shaktis, energies. We are also his Shakti. And, his internal energy. That means all his associates in the spiritual world, then his consorts, everyone is his Shakti. This material world, material energy is also his Shakti. All his Shaktis are simultaneously non-different from him, and they're also different from him. This is Bheda and Abheda, different and non-different. And how both opposites are present at the same time, this is inconceivable. That is Achintya. So anything which is outside of Achintya Bheda Bheda philosophy is, you can take, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, if one hears this Bhakti Siddhanta Viruddha statements, if you hear again and again, so there Srila Prabhupada says, if one hears this Mayavad statements, or actually it is said by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and the same thing we see in Srila Prabhupada's purport, actually, same thing we will see. So that this, if anyone hears this Mayavad, that means that which is against Bhakti Siddhanta, if he hears again and again, what will happen to him? He will fall from the path of devotion. And then what is the second discrepancy? Rasa bhasa, rasa abhasa. It looks like rasa, but actually it is simply resembling rasa. It's not actually rasa. It's not actually rasa. That means, we saw in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, mixing of rasas, overlapping of rasas, or contradictory mellows. So, and any other principles which are opposed to bhakti. So rasa bhasa means principles which are opposed to bhakti, and it is overlapping of rasas. What will happen if you hear and discuss rasa bhasa? You will get attracted to material rasa. That means in this world also there's a taste in different relationships. You get pleasure in material friendship. You get pleasure in material, conjugal love, material paternal, maternal affection. Originally, that is meant, rasa is with Krishna only. But in this world also, people have such relationships amongst themselves. This is a reflection of the original. So if you hear rasa bhasa again and again, you will become attached to the rasas of this world. And you will become a prakrita sahaji. On one hand, because you're talking of rasa. Rasa is a very elevated position. The Lord's relationship with his eternally liberated devotees, perfected devotees. There you see rasa. So on one hand, you're talking about rasa, but you're mixing those, and you're talking, that means you're hearing rasa bhasa, contradictory mellows. By that, what will happen? Even though you're acting like a devotee, you're pretending to be a devotee, in reality, you will be a completely materialistic person, and you will start getting attached to material things, rasas. So we saw that. So therefore, Mahaprabhu, if he came across any literature which had either of these two, anything which is against bhakti, that means against Achintya Bheda Bheda philosophy, or rasa bhasa, his heart would not be happy. He would not be pleased with that work. Therefore, it was the practice of Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī to first examine all literatures to find out whether the Siddhanta was correct. What is the Siddhanta? That means it is not against bhakti and there is no rasa bhasa. Only when he confirmed that it was clear of these two defects would he allow such literature to be presented before Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So we read that yesterday. Now we'll continue. Okay. Vidyāpati Caṇḍīdāsa śrī-gīta-govinda eitina gīte karā'na prabhura ānanda. So Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī would be very cautious about what he is reading to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, what Mahaprabhu is hearing. He would not, so many people would be writing, like you have, during Vyas Puja offerings, devotees write their offerings, and sometimes devotees write poems also in glorification of the spiritual master. Like that, many devotees would be coming with their poetry or with their songs that they have personally written. But Swarup Damodar Goswami would be very cautious about reading something before Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He would scrutinize through that to make sure that there is no rasabhasa in there, or any Mayavad philosophy there, anything which is against bhakti. But he would have these three, Vidyāpati, Caṇḍīdāsa, and śrī-gīta-govinda. That means Vidyāpati, Caṇḍīdāsa, Gīta-govinda is written by Srila Jayadeva Gosvami. Eitina gīte korāya prabhura ānanda. Śrī Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvami used to read the poems of Vidyāpati, Caṇḍīdāsa, and Jayadeva Goswami's śrī-gīta-govinda. He used to make Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu very happy by singing these songs. So this is, because this is foolproof. You cannot find any defects. These are authoritative literatures, scriptures. So he would read these because they are completely free from any defects. So about these devotees, who is Vidyāpati? He is an ancient poet from Mithila. Vidyāpati is an ancient poet from, what type of poet? He is a Vaishnava poet from Mithila. And Caṇḍīdāsa is an ancient Bengali Vaishnava poet. He is from Bengal, from Birbhum. And there he lived in the, like police, in Hare Krishna. You have like this, in addresses you have police station, right? So belonging to this police station means that area around that police station. So he belonged to Sakullipur police station. And the name of the village is Nannur. So in the district of Birbhum, and in the police station of Sakullipur, and in the village named Nannur, lived this is in olden days, right? In ancient times, was this very great Bengali Vaishnava poet called Caṇḍīdāsa. And Vidyāpati lived in Mithila. And of course, Gīta-govinda is written by Sri Jayadeva Goswami. So Jayadeva Goswami, for some time, he also lived, for quite a bit actually, he lived here in Mayapur also he lived. And these are all, elevated literature, dealing with rasa tattva, Krishna rasa tattva, the conjugal rasa. So Swarup Damodar Goswami would read only those to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Always he would be reading those for Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. But he would not, others he would be very cautious. Only when he would see that they are free from these two defects, then he would read others to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Okay. Vidyāpati, Caṇḍīdāsa, śrī-gīta-govinda, eitina gīte karāya prabhura ānanda. Śrī Svarūpa Dāmodara used to read the poems of Vidyāpati, Caṇḍīdāsa, and Jayadeva Goswami, Śrī-gīta-govinda. He used to make Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu very happy by singing these songs. saṅgīte, gandharva-sama, śāstre, Bṛhaspati, dāmodara-sama, nāhi, mahā-mati. Further, we are hearing the glories of Swarupa Dāmodara Goswami. So further, what do we hear? Saṅgīte, in music, gandharva-sama. He was like a Gandharva. That means that is why he's perfect. A Vaishnava is perfect in all fields actually. He has all 26 qualities. By dint of his devotional service, he becomes expert. He's a poet, and he's expert in music also. But even amongst Vaishnavas, there are different grades. So Swarupa Damodara Goswami was highly, highly, highly exalted. elevated. In fact, it is said he is next to only Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Can you imagine? He was like the second form of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So saṅgīte gandharva-sama. In music, he is like a gandharva. Śāstre Bṛhaspati. And in scripture, in knowledge, he was like Bṛhaspati. Who is Bṛhaspati? He is the spiritual master of the devatas. So Bṛhaspati was the teacher, the guru of Bhishmadev. From Mahabharata we read. Bṛhaspati is very learned. And in Chaitanya Leela, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is Bṛhaspati. So Bṛhaspati is very learned in Shastra. Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī was like a Gandharva when it came to music, and in his grip on Shastra, he was just like Bṛhaspati. Dāmodara-sama ara nāhi mahā-mati. So there was nobody equal to Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī in scripture. And also, like this type of combination, he was expert in music and he was also expert in Shastra. Nobody was equal to Damodar Pandit. No, Dāmodara-sama ara nāhi mahā-mati. Yes, one may be a very, very mahā-mati means, mati means intelligence, mahā-mati. There may be super intelligent people in this world, right? Ek se badkar ek. Intelligent people may be there. But even the most intelligent person is not equal to Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī in learning. He's just like Bṛhaspati. Svarūpa Dāmodara was as expert a musician as the Gandharvas, and in scriptural discussion he was just like Bṛhaspati, the priest of the heavenly gods. Therefore, it is to be concluded that there was no great personality quite like Svarūpa Dāmodara. So this wonderful combination, he's an expert. You know, when you say expert in music, he was like a Gandharva. That means he knew the science of music. He could play, he could sing. That's what we understand, isn't it? Not only was he expert in singing, he knew the science. He wrote a book on music. And he's an expert in Shastra, like Bṛhaspati. Anywhere in the Vedas or, Bhakti Shastras especially. We already saw he is Krishna Rasa Tattva Veta. He's the knower of the Rasa. In Bhagavatam class yesterday, we were saying, what is Purushartha Shiromani? The crest jewel of all goals. Purushartha means the goal of life. What is Purushartha Shiromani? Prema. Krishna Prema is the Purushartha Shiro. That's the highest goal. And he is the knower of that science, right? Of the goal of this rasa. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Tattva Veta. Extremely learned personality. Therefore, there's nobody, no personality quite like Svarūpa Dāmodara. Purport: Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī was very expert in music as well as the Vedic scriptures. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu used to call him Damodar because of his expert singing and musical skills. This I don't know. Damodar, that means he received that name Damodar from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I guess even before, maybe even from Navadvip. But Mahaprabhu used to call him Damodar because he's expert in singing and musical skills. So Damodar also has that meaning, I guess. I'm not sure, I don't know. Because we know from Damodar Leela, Damodar means one who is bound, around the belly. That's Damodar. Dama means rope and Udar means your belly. So one who is tied with a rope around the belly, that is Damodar. But also here Mahaprabhu called him Damodar because of his expertise in singing, is said. So, yeah, I'm just reading what there is. So, Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu used to call him Damodar because of his expert singing and musical skills. The name Damodar was given by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu and added to the name given by his sannyas guru. So, just like about Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Ṭhākur, how he got the name Siddhanta? Because he was expert in the science of astrology. And he wrote a book called Surya Siddhanta, a masterpiece. So because of that work, he received the title Siddhanta. Siddhanta. This title he had even when he was at home, that means in the previous ashram. And when he accepted sannyas, he got the title Saraswati. But his Siddhanta title came with him. That's why he is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Similarly, Damodar name was given to him by Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu for his wonderful singing. And when he got his initiation from his guru, sannyas guru, Svarupa name is given for Naishtika Brahmacharya, and he kept that only because he didn't complete, he didn't accept the sannyas danda and saffron cloth, etc. So that his name remained as, even though he's a sannyasi, he kept the name Svarupa. But Damodar is coming from where? From his previous title. Actually, his name was Purushottamacharya. And then where did Damodar come from? Mahaprabhu gave him that name because of his expert singing, Damodar. And after accepting sannyas, that name remained with him and he became Damodar Svarupa. He was therefore known as Svarupa Dāmodara or Damodar Svarupa. He compiled a book of music named saṅgīte-Damodar. See, he compiled a book named a book of music. So not only was he expert in singing, but he actually compiled a book named saṅgīte-Damodar. Yes. So now we will have a short class today because I came very late, but I'll see maybe a little bit more. Advaita-nityānandera parama priyatama Śrīvāsa bhakta-gaṇera hoya prāṇa-sama. So in all these verses, the past, several verses, we are simply seeing the glory of Śrīla Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī. Advaita-nityānandera parama priyatama. He is supremely dear to devotees like Sri Advaita-acharya, Srila Nityananda Prabhu. He's very parama priyatama. Priyatama means it's already superlative degree. He is the dearest. And to that you add parama. He is supremely dearest. So you can imagine. To Sri Advaita-acharya, Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And Śrīvāsa bhakta-gaṇera hoya prāṇa-sama. My God. He is the limit of life. Like when you love someone very much, you say, "Oh, meri jaan hai," right? You are my life. That person is my life. I love that person so much. So prāṇa-sama, the limit. Matlab usse badkar kuch hai nahi. Nobody is dearer than this person. That's what it means, right? Prāṇa-sama. That means he's so dear, so dear, so dear. He's the limit of my life. There's nothing else except this person in my life, like that. If this person is not there, then I don't have my life anymore. Prāṇa-sama. For who? For other devotees, for Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura. So in Panchatattva, you have Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, of course, then Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu, then Gadadhar Pandit and Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura. For Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya, he is Parama Priyatama. He is supremely dearest. And for Śrīvāsa Adi Bhakta-gaṇa, that means Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura and all other assembly of devotees, he was prāṇa-sama. Sorry, not Sima. Sama. Prāṇa-sama. He was as good as their life. He was their very life. He was their very life. For Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, he is extremely dear, the dearest, supremely dearest. And for Śrīvāsa Adi Bhakta-gaṇa, he was like their very life. Almost like Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. The way Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu is so dear, right? The second form of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu is Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī. Śrī Svarūpa Dāmodara was very dear to Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu, and he was the life and soul of all the devotees headed by Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura. Sei Dāmodara asi dandavata hoila charane podiya shloka podite lagila. That Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī. So all this that we heard about Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī, how glorious he is. That Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī came and fell in Dandavat obeisances in front of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. We read that first Paramananda Puri arrived and the next day Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī arrived. After saying that Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī arrived and he was living in Puri, how he would live in Puri, not talking to anyone, and about his great qualities, how he's silent, he wouldn't talk to anyone, he would live in solitude, and he's always absorbed in the ecstasy of a love of Godhead, how he is an ocean of the rasas, how he is parama virakta and parama pandita, supremely detached and supremely learned, and also he is the person that Mahaprabhu. So that means these pastimes will come later on. Now he just arrived, but in glorification, we are also hearing his activities in future also. So when devotees would come to with their piece of literature that they wrote, then he would examine it first, like that. And then also he's expert. He's expert in music and also in Shastra. There's nobody like Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī. There's no other person like Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī. Such Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī, when he arrived in Purī and when he went to Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, he fell down in dandavat obeisances at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, falling at the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu in dandavat obeisances. Immediately he began to recite shlokas in glorification. When Svarūpa Dāmodar came to Jagannath Puri, he fell flat before the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, offering him obeisances and reciting a verse. Wow. So this is the verse of Śrīla Svarūpa Dāmodara Gosvāmī, which we will read tomorrow. Has a big purport. We don't have time. I am sorry for joining late, but thank you so much. Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Śrīla Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvāmī ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur
Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Ananta Koti
Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Bhakti. Thank you, Pranav.